year is 1945. World War II has just ended. The United States, flush with victory and vast oil reserves, stands as a global superpower. But a new economic order is about to be born, one that will shape the world for the next 75 years. This is the story of the petrodollar. Before World War II, global trade relied on a gold standard. But the war changed everything. The United States, holding most of the world's gold reserves, sought a new system. At the same time, a burgeoning economic power was emerging in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, with its vast oil reserves. In the 1970s, a pivotal agreement was struck. The United States, under the Nixon administration, made a deal with Saudi Arabia. The Saudis would price their oil exclusively in US dollars, ensuring the dollar's global dominance. In return, the US offered military protection and guaranteed access to American weapons. This agreement, seemingly simple, had profound consequences. It birthed the petrodollar system. Oil, the lifeblood of the global economy, would be traded in US dollars. This created a constant demand for dollars, cementing the dollar's position as the world's reserve currency. The benefits for the United States were enormous. The demand for dollars meant the US could borrow cheaply on the international market. It could run trade deficits, importing more than it exported, without suffering the usual economic penalties. The dollar's strength fueled American prosperity and military might. But this system also had its downsides. It fostered a dependence on foreign oil and made the US economy vulnerable to price shocks, as seen during the oil crises of the 1970s. For other countries, holding large dollar reserves created its own set of risks, tying their economic fortunes to the US economy. For decades, the petrodollar system remained largely unchallenged. However, the seeds of change were being sown. The rise of new economic powers like China and the emergence of alternative energy sources began to chip away at the foundations of the system. China, the world's largest energy consumer, sought to reduce its reliance on the dollar. It began making deals to purchase oil and gas in other currencies, notably its own yuan. Other countries, too, began exploring alternatives, seeking to lessen their dependence on the US dollar. The growth of renewable energy sources like solar and wind power also played a role. As these technologies become more affordable and efficient, the world's dependence on oil, and thus the petrodollar, began to wane. The stage was set for a new economic order. The end of the petrodollar era, if and when it comes, will have profound consequences. For the United States, it could mean a loss of economic and geopolitical clout. The dollar's dominance, which has underpinned American economic might for decades, could erode. Saudi Arabia, too, faces an uncertain future. Its close relationship with the US, built on the petrodollar system, could be tested. The kingdom is seeking to diversify its economy and reduce its reliance on oil, but the transition is fraught with challenges. For everyday people, the implications are complex and multifaceted. A weaker dollar could mean higher prices for imported goods, impacting everything from consumer electronics to clothing. On the other hand, it could make American exports more competitive, potentially boosting domestic manufacturing. In the emerging multipolar world, there will be winners and losers. Countries that control key resources, such as rare earth minerals essential for green technologies, may find themselves in a stronger position. Those heavily indebted in dollars could face economic turmoil. For consumers, the shift away from the petrodollar could lead to greater price volatility. Oil prices, no longer anchored to the dollar, could fluctuate more wildly, impacting everything from gas prices to the cost of food. However, this period of transition also presents opportunities. New economic alliances are forming, and innovative financial instruments are emerging, potentially leading to a more stable and equitable global financial system. The end of the petrodollar era will not be a sudden collapse, but rather a gradual transition. New currencies and trading blocs may emerge, challenging the dominance of the dollar. The rise of digital currencies like Bitcoin adds another layer of complexity. Predicting the future is a fool's errand, but one thing is certain: the world is on the cusp of a major economic transformation. The rules of the game are changing, and those who adapt will thrive in the new order. The end of the petrodollar era marks not the end of an era, but the beginning of a new one.